President Bola Tinubu participated in the BRICS event in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where the president met with world leaders who are participating in that bloc meeting. Well, a lot of Nigerians will wonder what is the benefit Nigeria could have taken out of that sort of meeting. Plus, there are stories about the U.S. new visa policy to Nigerians, the issue of the United Arab Emirates visa policy to Nigeria, and some of other issues that may be bothering the mind. Tonight, we have one man that is in the know. All of these matter goes to his table, and he can explain further to us. We're being joined by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, who is joining us on the sidelines of the African Union Leaders Meeting. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight.
Pleasure
to be here.
Thank you so much indeed. Let me begin by asking, fundamentally, Nigeria is not a full member of BRICS Commission. It then means that we may not be able to benefit 100% from what comes out of the agreement, that organization, which is supposed to compete with some of the Western global organizations. But what would you say is our biggest benefit as a people and the profit Nigeria could have gotten out of that meeting?
Incorrect. We will be able to benefit 100%. The BRICS partnership status comes with all the benefits of being a member, but without the, if you will, for lack of a better word, the liabilities, political liabilities that may accrue. So BRICS is a group that is not against any country or any other group in particular. It's primarily a group of South nations, groups, countries that belong in the Southern Hemisphere, that are developing nations, that are looking to improve on the existing global financial architecture and the global political structures that were created at the end of the Second World War. You see that we went through a period of the Washington Consensus, where lots of countries were compelled to subscribe to some of the stringent conditions of SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, for instance, where they were doomed to, to become exporters of raw material as opposed to finished products. So the effort being made at the moment is to move us from being exporters of primary products, raw materials, to exporters of finished goods, and also to address the issue of debt that is a burden to a lot of developing countries, which is why President Tinubu spoke to that at the meeting. And as usual, his contributions attracted a lot of interest, because he was also talking about solutions to the debt crisis. Because what we have at the moment is not a financial crisis in the developing world, but a development crisis where countries are being assigned opportunity to debt, because the debt settlement itself that comes from IMF and other Bretton Woods organizations tends to address the debt, private sector debt of the developed nations, though what the developed nations have loaned to developing nations. So that tends to be settled first, and then you are left in this vicious cycle of borrowing to settle what already exists. So what President Tinubu was suggesting is some sort of international sovereign debt restructuring mechanism that will be there that will take care of some of these problems. And this was applauded. Apart from that, there were numerous other issues that were discussed. How to, for instance, finance the energy transition itself. It's very expensive. The technology, solar energy, wind, all of that we keep talking about, is very expensive. How do you fund it? How do you finance it? And this is where we also talk about the role that IMF can play, not using debt, not to lend the money, but there are certain instruments that are there that can be utilized to fund the energy transition. At the end of the day, we weren't the ones that created the problem. Most of the pollution was generated by developed nations, not developing countries. So these are some of the, you have special drawing rights, for instance, that can be applied, that were applied during COVID. So these are some of the issues that were discussed at BRICS. And don't forget, there's a new development bank being headed by Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil. They are also there to provide not just financial support, but technical support to developing nations.
So, but what would you say immediately? Is there any major FDI that we can lay claims to that is practical and that is identifiable in the immediate?
You see, this is where you and I always quarrel when you talk about immediate. When you give your broadcast and other, do you always see immediate response? It's not always an immediate thing. Government is not an immediate thing. It is a continuum, and sometimes it's incremental. So don't say that the president went to BRICS, therefore he must put $10 billion on the plane and then bring it back to Nigeria. You know very well, if we are not trying to be mischievous, that government doesn't work that way. It works incrementally. But if you want, I can talk to you about the bilateral meeting that President Tinubu had with President Lula, where there are immediate results.
Talk to us about that. So I was asking questions relating to immediate results.
So air peace to be flying between Nigeria and Brazil. LATAM, their own airline that is going to be flying cargo between Nigeria and Brazil. We already have the green imperative that is already up and running. If you remember, before this visit to Brazil, the vice president of Brazil, who is also the minister for trade and investment, visited Nigeria, okay, to further build on the green imperative, which is going to have agricultural projects in every local government in Nigeria. They have Embrapa, which is the entity that conducts research. This is how they transformed what is today one of the most prolific agricultural areas in the world. They call it the Cerrado. The Cerrado is their savanna. It was not productive because it had high content of acidity in the soil. Embrapa, which does a lot of research, was able to come up with a solution using lime. So it became one of the largest producers of soybean in the world. Embrapa is partnering with our own Nigerian institutions so that it would improve our soil quality and improve our yield. And of course, there's a company that has committed to investing over $2 billion. I think it's about $2.2 billion. BJP, they call it. It's owned by a group of Brazilians, the Batista brothers, actually, that are among the largest. Some say they're the largest producers of of meat in the world. So livestock, cattle, the livestock feed itself, poultry, these are all things that's why we also have the governor of Niger State there. The governor of Ogun State was also there. Fertilizer being exported to Brazil already by Dangote and others. We're looking to increase that.
Yeah. Minister.
Brazil is number 4 in the world in the garment industry. We're talking about exporting polymer, exporting synthetic fiber, which is used for face caps, for these soccer T-shirts, for trainers, so that Nigeria can be exporting that to Brazil. So these are all things that,
Minister,
the gestation period.
Embraer is a Brazilian aircraft maker, manufacturer. And I know that there is an overture. You mentioned Airpeace. I know Airpeace ordered several aircraft, brand new aircraft from Embraer. Are we having any talks with Embraer? Is Nigeria doing any deal with Embraer? Are we trying to do any kind of repairs and whatever hub in Nigeria? Is any of such thing happening?
Yep. Exactly. This is one of the things that was discussed. Them setting up a hub for checks, for servicing of aircraft in Nigeria. And as soon as Airpeace secures a plane that it can put on that route, Brazil, the Brazilian equivalent of FAN, has said they're ready to approve for them to start flying immediately. This is something the two presidents emphasized. President Lula said, look, I'm 79, President Tinubu is 73. We don't have time. This has to be done as quickly as possible. And Mr. President also re-emphasized that. So we have our marching orders. We're ready to go.
Minister, there is a geopolitical issue, some kind of geopolitical balancing, if you may call it like that, because as Nigeria is deepening its ties with BRICS and other nations that are not really ideologically on the same plane with a world power like United States, you start seeing some politics coming up there. There are different priorities like the de-dollarization and the UN Security Council reform and some of the ambition Nigeria has in terms of foreign relations. And we saw the reaction of the American president to Brazil, for example, saying that it can jack up the tariff imposition sanction by almost 50%. Do you have fears that we might suffer any kind of sanction from America because of these our relation?
No, I don't. And if we do, it would be most unfortunate because we are looking to do deals with the US. President Trump has always emphasized the need to do deals and do deals with African countries, Asian countries. And Nigeria stands in a very good position to continue its symbiotic relationship with the US. We possess a lot of critical minerals, not just lithium, but we also possess rare earths. There's something called samarium that you get from monazite, for instance. Samarium is used to produce very powerful metals that are used in missiles and missile systems, for instance. And it's something that Nigeria is in a position to supply. Nigeria is also in a position to supply a lot of energy to big US big tech. We have a lot of gas, and they are in need. The big tech consumes a lot of electricity. Data mining, data storage, artificial intelligence, these are things that run on a lot of electricity. And we have that energy source. So these are the discussions we're having with the Americans. And when we talk about BRICS, let's not forget that these BRICS members, the initial BRICS members, these are the same countries that are in the G20. Brazil is a member of the G20. Okay, Russia is a member of the G20. India is a member of the G20. China is a member of the G20.
But BRICS minister is supposed to be a competition to the
the US is equally, no, it's not. That's where people get it wrong.
It's supposed to be an economic competition to these organizations.
They participate in both because they are two different things. And it doesn't stop them from doing business with the US. It doesn't stop them from being partners with the US in G20.
But Minister, just a moment. There is a 3-day summit that is ongoing in Washington with American president and 5 African presidents. The Nigerian president is not is invited. We don't know whether he is invited or not, but President Bola Tinubu is not attending. And there are reports that a renewed Trump administration may impose a 10% tariffs on Nigerian exports in response to closer alignment with BRICS. What diplomatic or trade countermeasures are being prepared to mitigate such fallout?
Excuse me. Sorry, that may not necessarily, the issue of tariffs may not necessarily have to do with us participating in BRICS. You have to also bear in mind that the US is mounting considerable pressure on African countries to accept Venezuelans to be deported from the US, some straight out of prison. It will be difficult for a country like Nigeria to accept Venezuelan prisoners into Nigeria. We have, in the famous words of, I don't know if you know the US rap group called Public Enemy. If you do, then you'll remember a line from Flavor Flav, a member of the group, who said, Flavor Flav has problems of his own. I can't do nothing for you, men. We have enough problems of our own. We cannot accept Venezuelan deportees to Nigeria, for crying out loud. We already have 230 million people. You will be the same people that would castigate us if we acquiesce to accepting Venezuelans from U.S. prisons to be brought in.
Are we under pressure? Are we under pressure from the Americans, from the U.S.?
These are some of the discussions that have been ongoing, not just with Nigeria, but also with other countries.
But Minister, quickly, how are you responding diplomatically, of course? Because as of July 9th of 2025, the U.S. now issues only single-entry 3-month non-immigrant visas to Nigerians. And this has caused a lot of furore, down from up to 5-year multiple-entry permits, given Nigeria previously received nearly 1/5 of all such visas in Africa. How are you responding to it, and what immediate effect do you foresee on business, education, and tourism?
We are talking to the Americans, we're engaging them. We are also explaining and reminding them that we issue them 5-year multiple entry visas the same way that they issue regular travelers 5-year multiple entry visas. What Nigeria has done that differs is simple. We used to have visa on arrival that wasn't running efficiently. We introduced these online electronic visas that you can apply so that it saves you time instead of just arriving and then going through the process of getting the visa when you have already arrived. The same way I'm talking to you on my laptop, I can just simply apply for a Nigerian visa and you get it and then you fly. So it makes it easier. This is what we've done. We have different categories of visas. There are those people that are first-time travelers that are coming as tourists that are probably not likely to come back to Nigeria again, maybe because they're coming for a short while, and they get those 90-day visas. So our visa is not saying that every American is only being given 90-day visas or 3 months or whatever. We give Americans, there are loads of Americans that have these long-term visas. 5 years.
So the Americans are not correct when he said their decision was based on reciprocity.
It is not based on reciprocity.
Do you think that this is punity from the Americans to have taken such visa policy on us?
The issue of accepting Venezuelan deportees, honestly, I don't think is something that Nigeria is in a position to work with. And I think it would be unfair to insist that Nigeria accept 300 Venezuelan deportees. Maybe that might just even be the beginning.
But Minister, where I would like you to anchor perhaps tonight is on the Nigeria UAE bilateral relations, an issue of visa too. Nigeria has relationship with the UAE, and we thought that things are getting better. Now we've seen an imposition of a visa ban in October 2022, and there are statements as of 2023, 2024 that things are getting better. But we've now seen another move by the UAE on visa policy. And in fact, the enormous amount that you need to pay when you're applying for visa. How are you reacting to that?
What I can say is that when President Tinubu came in, he directed that there has to be reciprocity with regards to visa. We must make sure that we give the same duration, same length of visas to countries just as they give us. So if America is giving us 5 years to regular travelers, we switched, we were giving them 5 years. President Tinubu emphasized this. Now, in the case of UAE, you know that there were issues in Dubai, some Nigerians that were involved in nefarious activities, and perhaps in reaction to that, there was this visa ban by the UAE. We engaged them. President Tinubu even went there, I believe, 3 times, and talks went on, and there was a resumption based on the agreement that there will be a process of screening and all of that. It does not domicile with our embassies. This is being handled by the National Security Advisor, okay? And there's some sort of screening process that would result in the issuance of visas. So that is ongoing.
All right.
We are actually quite surprised that all of a sudden we're hearing this. I don't know if it is a copycat move because the US has announced this, then all of a sudden the UAE is announcing its own, but it is most regrettable. We hope that they will revisit this issue if indeed that is the case. I have not been communicated to by the Emirati foreign minister. I have not heard from the Emirati ambassador, so we don't know the extent of action.
Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, the Foreign Affairs Minister, thank you so much for clarifying these issues for us. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you for inviting me.